This is it, right? It can't get any worse than this. This is just the epitome of garbage. This is the bare minimum and the lowest of expectations and still going even lower. This is World of Warcraft: The Burning Crusade, my number one worst game of 2021. I really enjoyed my time with Vanilla Classic, despite its problems, although I never got into the raiding aspect. I think Blizzard taking a hands-off approach was a good idea in the end, at least for the leveling. And honestly, I'd rather the players run it into the ground rather than Blizzard. When it comes to re-releasing a multiplayer-focused game in a new era, there's only so much you can do regarding the player base. Blizzard was admittedly put in a tough spot when players were simply exploiting mechanics that were just undiscovered previously. It's mainly people from private servers using their experiences to bust the entire meta open that damaged the classic experience, at least for raiding. And it's not like those people are necessarily at fault, they're just playing the game, but in a different way. So with TBC on the horizon, things looked better. Blizzard was going to balance out raid bosses, using their older, pre-nerf versions for a higher, more balanced difficulty for the new age of players, and carefully releasing content and nerfing it a little later to allow for new players to catch up. Things were looking good. There's only so much you can do in regards to the community. We expected bots, griefers, exploitable mechanics, but we soldiered through it in vanilla, and with the endgame looking better balanced, we thought we can get through it here, and as a result, we thought we were in the clear. Until the Dark Portal Pass came out. Fuck me, Raw. This thing ruined the entire fucking game for me. The pass was touted as a way for new and experienced players to roll new characters and catch up. Essentially a premium level boost to 58 that was released right before the Burning Crusade Classic was officially launched. Anyone who didn't want the boost but wanted to hit 58 to enter Outlands, like myself, were fucked because we had to now scramble to get to that level because everyone took the damn boost. Once a few people decided to take it, it was all over. Old worlds were abandoned, and everyone just started slowly giving up on doing harder quests and grinding, and then they just took it themselves. Some stayed behind, like myself, who were already, mid-50s, and we were getting there, but people who were of lower levels, they all took it. Even on one of the highest Alliance-populated servers, that being Whitemane, it was hard to get groups for anything. Compounding this problem was the imbalance of Alliance and Horde on PvP servers. Horde players found themselves in much longer queue times since their factions benefited from better meta racials, and because more people would pick Horde, you had an imbalance of Horde and Alliance in each server. So there were more Horde players, so they often found themselves waiting in longer queue times. And Alliance players often found themselves outnumbered on the flip side of that in World PvP, dealing with even more ganking than what many could remember back in 2007. Now, it's not like this wasn't fucked to begin with. Before the boost, there was that debacle where community-created census data revealed that some servers had about 40% Alliance to 60% Horde. Alliance players seeing greener hills started taking the free server transfer Blizzard was offering at the time to mitigate the long queue times from high-population servers. This was around the time of launch, about 3 months into it. But unfortunately, this had an effect of dwindling the already low Alliance population on many of these servers. It was a disaster. I was on one of those servers where everyone seemed to have deserted. I seemed to have been the last one to leave. Rip Stalag, from last reports, it was about 100% Horde, 100% on the census data from an archive. That's just great. Now, that was a case of the community running it into the ground, though. Not Blizzard's fault necessarily, even though they did have those free transfers. It was a perfect storm of events that led to all this. As bad as it wasn't really anyone's fault in particular, except for the herd mentality of the players. But with the level boost, it's even worse now, because at least you were still Alliance, You transferred off, but you were still playing that character. You had to play your faction. You were committed since you hit 60 or whatever level, and did everything. Now, players who found themselves at an unfair advantage with Blizzard doing very little to solve the problem, now found themselves buying the boost and using it on a Horde character. This was devastating, as many servers got a new influx of Horde players and a drop to Alliance players, and as you can imagine with all this extra ganking, playing on a PvP server as Alliance really sucks now, and some people have honest to God quit because of how frustrating it is. And I get that it's a PvP server, right? We expect that. We expect these problems, but we also expect the fun, you know? But what was once a Wild West roulette wheel of fun to rage to joy to schadenfreude, something that brought people together through common enemies and camaraderie, ended up being just a much more miserable experience. There is still that camaraderie, like, oh, we gotta kill this horde. Guys, this horde ganked me 3 times. We gotta get this guy. Like, aw, dude, I'm down to do that. You know, that's great. That's awesome. But the fact that, you know, we still get ganked a billion times a day is just wearing on you, especially when you're leveling with total morons, and we'll get into that in a second. To wrap it up, the player census incident was bad, but the level boost was worse because it shows that Activision and Blizzard did not care. They knew. They had to have known how much damage to the faction imbalance the boost would do. They had to have known how much damage this boost would do to the faction imbalance, and they released it anyway. It didn't just stop at the faction imbalance, though. That would be the least of my concern. I'm just getting started here. Leveling to 70 was one of the worst experiences I've ever had in WoW, possibly in any video game ever. Vanilla Classic got tough at times later on, but it acted as a bit of a filter. The grind was tough and the game always felt like it rewarded your time rather than skill, sure, but there were genuinely difficult areas, dungeons and quests that required coordination, grouping up, understanding how mob pulls work, how your class worked, the mechanics involved in the game, coordination. This is a problem, though, if a bunch of impatient people who have never played the game for more than 5 minutes of their entire lives, people from retail who are used to having it so easy, take this little boost, get to level 58 instantly, and then they have to be queued up with me, someone who actually wants to play the game and actually wants to progress through content without, you know, dying 30 times. This is a problem of a bunch of fucking children or impatient idiots from retail who never wanted to play the game in the first place until the boost came out, or fucking wherever these people came from, started taking the boosts. Getting through Outland content was terrible. Wipe after wipe, hour after hour of dealing with some of the dumbest people imaginable in an online game. If Blizzard wanted to replicate the experience of 2007, they definitely had, as I was dealing with nearly 4 times as many idiots as I was back then. This is with me being the healer of the group, right? In these dungeons. This is with me going all out, focusing on this stuff, and even bringing friends along, and we still had people that were just so stupid because they took these boosts. They had terrible gear. They took these boosts, and they don't know how to play the game properly. They don't know how to play their class. Sometimes it's the same players, right, that have been playing this entire time, but they're playing a different class now, and they suck at it because they haven't had any time to practice it. So we gotta be their test dummies. We gotta be their training mode, their training mission. We're NPCs to them. It was so bad. Oh my god, it was a total fucking disaster. And the fact that TBC has had hard rep grind locks and attunement bullshit made it so much more maddening. So I have to follow a guide, right? I have to follow a guide to get attuned to these dungeons. I gotta run them multiple times. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna just read this guide so I don't have to spend hours and hours extra. And, you know, you're wiping, you're reading guides, you're doing all this crap, but it's made so much worse from these people who just feel like they've never even played a video game in their life, man. They're just so bad. It's not like, you know, someone new to the game. If someone new to the game starts at level 1, okay, and then they work their way up. I didn't have this many problems in, like, the older parts of WoW because the game was easier, okay? The game was easier and then it ramps up. If you go from level 1 to level 58, you got a kind of a problem here. There was also the goddamn botting epidemic. Holy shit, the botting. I haven't even talked about the botting epidemic. How they destroyed the economy. And how Blizzard has done piss all about stopping it because it's entirely the fault of the boost, and they won't get rid of that because it's a massive source of cash. Bot players will take the level boost, head over to various dungeons where they can mine uninterrupted, and just hack away. They're also common in the old world too, tagging certain critical mobs, making questing extremely frustrating.
Dank. Looking for Dank. Hello? Anyone? I don't know if those even exist anymore.
And despite all of this, I had the better experience. When it came to 5-man dungeons and raids, people who were DPS were often cut from the roster all the way to the 25-man raids because there were too many people rolling DPS in vanilla. You know, you go from 40-man raids, tons of DPS there, to 25-mans. People are getting cut. Guilds are falling apart, you know, it's happening. And those people really suffered on low alliance populated servers. We wait like an hour to get a tank in our group. You know, DPS fills instantly. Thank God I rolled a healer, right? Because since I suffered through that, I can get groups faster, but it's still repetitive. It's still horrendous to get through these dungeons because setting up for it, getting there without getting ganked by 1,000 horde. And you know, the shitty thing is, it's 2 years after the Stalag server incident, and after all the census problems and the boost and all this stuff, after, you know, 2 years after, you know, it started to happen, and then now, 2 years of dealing with this problem, Blizzard comes out with a post saying, like, yeah, so if you guys from the community have any suggestions on how to fix this, please let us know. Thank you, Blizzard. Thank you for finally listening to us and asking. Oh, just so gracious. Thank you, Blizzard, for just coming down to us peasants and asking if we have a better fucking idea. Fuck you, Blizzard. Fuck you. You know what the worst part is? I actually started to enjoy the game once I found some cool people in a guild. I started to like doing the dungeons. I enjoyed doing the raids. You gotta find that group of people you like. And I had some going in, but, you know, it was not a complete group, right? You have to find a full party. A couple friends is just not enough. And it took me so long to get that good group. But that was honestly only because I was a healer. The minute I stopped being useful to them, the minute they found a better position for their raids where they found someone who was way more dedicated than I assume, I was removed from the Discord, the guild, and none of the staff wanted to answer my questions for no reason. I was behaved on mic, I coordinated well in raids. Despite being super undergeared, I held my own. I was never talked to about any behavior-related thing. I never had a problem with anyone in the guild. I was friendly with people, and yet I was still removed. And that was ultimately the breaking point for me. And even though I was pretty well geared by that point, and I could probably find another guild, you know, what the fuck was the point? I had spent so much goddamn time dealing with some of the worst WoW has to offer, some of the worst the community has to offer. Why would I go through all that again? Fuck it. The moment I quit the Burning Crusade Classic, my life actually improved. What a fucking drain. And, you know, yes, getting kicked out of a guild, that's not technically Blizzard's fault, but I feel that if that had happened back in the day, I would have just bounced right out of it. You know, it'd just be find another guild or find more people. But the amount of shitty people that have just overwhelmed this game, whether it be in playstyle or just being awful human beings, has totally ruined the entire thing for me. And that is a product of what Blizzard has created. Blizzard has created an environment of people who just simp for them, who just want to eat shit off a plate and call it steak.
The game is not bad. Why are people leaving? Idiots are just jumping on bandwagons for their dumb agenda.
As I was writing this script, you know, the top 5 worst games of 2021, I had the initial intent of putting TBC Classic at number 5, you know, because I thought I had enjoyed my time with it, that I liked the game. But in reality, I guess I haven't, with all I've had to say. And 90% of the reason is because of fucking Blizzard and that goddamn level boost. Like, yeah, I think TBC is honestly a weak and overrated expansion, but the raids are fun, and I met some cool people. But man, the fact that I grinded so fucking much, and like, no one was there because everyone had taken the boost, and people had left because of the faction imbalance already, like lots of people had just quit the game out of frustration for something Blizzard could have eventually fixed, or mitigated, or done something with. Just anything but just sitting on their ass. You know, I just feel like all the nice and cool players that Blizzard used to have plenty of, the ones I used to have a great time with, so many of those people quit the game, man. Similar stories to mine. Burned out, sick of the community, sick of Blizzard shit, sick of the game. It's awful. What should have been an absolute slam dunk of a re-release of an expansion ended up not only being my worst game of 2021, but one of the worst experiences I've ever had in a game. At least with Blizzard's games, I could shit on the new stuff and avoid it and just play the old stuff for entertainment, but I can't seem to even do that anymore. All Blizzard had to do was just not put in that level boost, man, and TBC would have honestly been fucking fine. Like, it would have been way more tolerable, it would have been way more easier to deal with this bullshit, it would have been fucking great. Fuck this company. I swore off retail sometime during BFA because it's been consistently terrible, and it's only gotten worse since I quit, with Shadowlands being a giant steaming pile, and since that company has its head crammed so far up its ass, with its shithead developers that despite pulling all these alleged crazy work hours, despite all of it, they can't even make a good game to save their fucking lives. They can't even keep a game that was good. Like, this wasn't a game they've made from scratch. They re-released it, and they still fucked it up. I don't even think I'm going to be coming back for Lich King. I don't want to anymore. I don't want to get burned again. What's the point? They don't care. They don't care about the bots. Makes the money. They don't care about the boost. Makes the money. They're going to just throw another wrench in the system. Like, okay, I'm playing the old game. That's fine, right? I'm playing the old game with a few changes here and there. That's okay. Blizzard coming in, throwing a fucking wrench in the whole thing. Hey guys, thank you for watching. That was a bit of a doozy there. I don't even know what to say at this point. Thank you for watching. This is part of my top 5 worst games of 2021. This is part 2. So part 1, you can see the rest of that if you want to see me getting angry again. Or you can actually check out some good games. I will also have that linked over here somewhere, and it'll be a good watch. You'll get some games that won't piss you off, and they're all fun, and some of them you probably haven't really heard of, because they're not all AAA games. Try to look for the weird indie. But yeah, that's it for me. I'm done. My voice hurts. I've had to re-record this script twice now, and I have all these problems with my microphone, and I'm exhausted. I'm going to bed, but thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. I'm out.